Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. This is a $2,600 build that I've done. It's actually very similar to another build you may have seen on this channel, another Mark 18 that I've done. This is actually something that I built out of parts and then continued to spend an insane amount of money on it. And this is actually a Mark 18 slash kind of Mark 16 that I've created. So I thought today I'll talk you through it. And I'll show you exactly what I've put on it to make it cost that insane amount. I'll do a quick dry fire at the end, and hopefully you guys find this interesting and can kind of comment on what you think was good that I did, what you think was bad that I did, and if you have any questions about what is on here, links, etc. I'll try and put that all down below. So as I said, this actually is technically a Mark 18. I've done quite a lot of work externally and internally to this. The base model of this, which is kind of crazy, I've just gone through counting everything up, and the actual base gun is a Guns Modify Mark 18. They are kind of like a copy of the MWS system. It is an MWS effectively. Guns Modify are a company that make a huge amount of parts, kind of upgrade parts for other platforms, other replicas. They did a huge amount for the actual MWS platform to kind of upgrade or change your Tokyo Marui Mark 18, and they actually ended up coming out with their own model, which was this, or kind of the base of it. The upper, the lower is from that, probably, or in the outer barrel, probably that is about it, to be honest. Stock buffer tube, so that's from there. But other than that, I think that's all that is left. So that's $485 as a base, which is a lot of money, and it's not that much money compared to what I've spent on this, which is kind of crazy. But it is a lot cheaper than the Mark 18 that you're going to buy from Tokyo Marui themselves. It's licensed. It's got all of the branding on there. It's not your Daniel Defense license, which the Mark 18 from Tokyo Marui has. But I think when I paid for my version of that, it was about $785. So 50% more, if not almost double the price. So I would say when I got this, I actually ended up buying it to take the Mark 18 rail because I damaged my Tokyo Marui one and I wanted to put another Picatinny style Mark 18 rail on that. I looked at buying rails by themselves, and to be honest, you couldn't get one for much cheaper than just buying a Guns Modify. So I thought, you know what, I'll buy this, I'll test it out, I'll use parts from it to upgrade my Tokyo Marui or to replace things that break. I ended up just building this thing out. So I prefer the finish, I would say, on the Tokyo Marui, but it's not a big difference. It's got kind of the same branding on it. It's it is your single side selector switch, so you don't have, what am I thinking of right now? You don't have the dual side ambidextrous controls, which is kind of standard. It normally comes with a Picatinny rail. I prefer the color of it on the original Tokyo Marui, but I don't have that here to show you. Actually, I do technically. If you go back and watch my other Mark 18 video, you will see exactly what that looks like, because that is actually from this replica. So to go through just what I've done, the base model is $485. What I've actually ended up putting on here is the kit that I absolutely love from Daniel Defense, and that is you can buy this as one kit, which includes the stock. You can see here, kind of has this rubberized frame on it. It's a pretty thin stock. I just love it. It's adjustable. I always keep it in this same position. I actually put a bit of Velcro just underneath, kind of sticky Velcro just inside the actual stock itself, and that keeps the movement here to basically zero. It does rattle a little bit if you have it just stock, so for me that's great. I'll just stick that bit of Velcro in. Makes it harder to adjust. I'll show you that, not a huge amount harder, but it does make it slightly harder just to adjust it. And I normally have mine like there. I think that's right. Yeah, that's perfect. So I do that. This actually comes again as a kit. So you get this, which is your pistol grip. These are all real steel. Pistol grip, again, has this rubberized texture on it. Bigger hands, it's great. I love kind of the indents here that you have for your thumb. and it's kind of got the finger groove, which I don't necessarily like in a lot of pistol grips, but with this one I think it works really well. And then the other thing it comes with is this, which is the foregrip, M-Lok foregrip. Again, it's got your kind of rubberized feel on it. I went all black on this one. On my other Mark 18, I did their kind of brown, not tan really, it's more of a brown version, which I really like. But when I did this, I was like, look, I'm going to go black and tan with this. I'm not going to go with the Daniel Defense style, slightly off colors that there are in the other one. So that kit together is $147. As I said, it's real steel. So if you have a real steel firearm, this is not real. You could put that on there, but obviously I think real steel for this is going to be just a better purchase. You're going to spend more money to do it, but it's really going to last. It's built for real stuff. So as I always say on this channel, if you are thinking about getting an upgrade and you can afford to do the real steel, definitely do that, in my opinion. So that's another thing I've done. The major thing I've done here is this rail change. Now this is from HAO, HAO. They call it their Mark 16 M-Lok 10.5-inch handguard. So it's the same length as the original Mark 18 handguard that I had on here, but instead of being Picatinny all around, this is M-Lok at your 369. It actually has M-Lok at your, 2, 7, you know, in terms of like a hexagon, effectively, you've got it all the way around with just a standard Picatinny rail on top. This, I think, is really good quality. I have to say, HAO stuff, I think is great for the money. And it also comes with branding. So this has the Geissele, let me see if I can show you that, the Geissele branding right there on it. So that was an upgrade that I put on here. That was actually $115. So pretty easy to put on. If you go to the HAO website, they have different variants, and this one specifically fits onto the MWS Mark 18, so, or the MWS style. It means that the actual, I think the locking nut here is slightly different from a real steel, so it's worthwhile just making sure you're getting the right one. So this is the MWS one that I've got for this. Another thing actually which I did to match that is I got this charging handle, which again is Geissele. If I can show you that, Geissele. This is actually a real steel one. So I'll just fire off the action on that. That is a real steel one, but I thought that was kind of cool to match that. I don't like the stock charging handles that come with these. They're just a bit kind of boring and old. So I thought if I can get kind of a tan one that can match this, you know, I thought I would kind of try and keep some of the branding similar. I've got Daniel Defense, I've got Geissele on here, GBBRS, Eotech. Trying to think what else. I'll go through that later. So that is there, and that one, in terms of the cost of that, I believe is, where are we with that one? Geissele, I think it's about $18, which I think is actually a very, very good price for this. Again, that is real steel, so you could put that onto a standard real steel firearm, which again I think is pretty awesome to be able to do that. Next things that I have done is, sorry, the actual HAO handguard is $90. So again, it's something I think that is worthwhile for the price. Again, it's just an added extra. If you like M-Lok more, I think it's worth doing. Other thing to mention is you can get a version of this kit, the Daniel Defense stock grip and foregrip, with this as the Picatinny version. I don't like that style. In fact, with my Picatinny other Mark 18, I have a Picatinny to M-Lok adapter, and then I've got one of these. The main reason is it's a lot thinner. So actually when I've got that as support, it just feels like my fingers can lock around it. The other one, which is for the Picatinny, is kind of like a round design. I don't like it. I've tried it. So if you like M-Lok, you're going to fit this straight on. So, you know, it's a good trade out if you want to do both. And I do think this is kind of my more lightweight version. It's got a lot less bulk to it. This rail is a lot lighter than the Picatinny one, and it just feels a lot more wieldy. I love my Mark 18 standard, but this definitely looks a bit different. You may think it looks very similar, but I think it does look different. And I do like how lightweight this thing is in comparison. Next thing I have done is I have got Oh, sorry, no, the charging handle is $115. So that is not $15, it's $115. So excuse my mistake on that one. It is great. You know, it's kind of got the wingtips here or the butterfly design, which I think is pretty awesome. But let me just fire that off so I don't forget to do it. But it is obviously very expensive for what it is, and as I said, that is real, so you could switch it out if that's of value to you. Next thing I've done, which is an expensive thing, is the sight. This is a real steel Eotech EXPS3. You've probably heard a lot about these. You can get Repro ones probably for about $60, $70. The real ones cost about 10 times that, so I think this is $600 to $650. So very expensive sight. The quality of them is far better than a Repro. Let me try and give you this as I always do. And there it is. So there's the red dot. I love kind of the little circle with that. I think it's about a 2 or 5 MOA dot in the middle. The sight picture and the eye relief on this is absolutely amazing. It will pick up instantly. So as soon as I have my eyes open with that, it just comes out almost straight away. So that's the sight. So that's $650. So again, something that's not necessary on an airsoft gun at all. But if you want real steel, you want something that performance-wise is going to be the best, that's $650, which is a huge amount of money. With that as well, I've got this plastic lens protector on it. If this is hit with a BB, generally it's going to break. And you may well be able to go back to Eotech and say, hey, it broke, therefore can you replace it? I've never done that. I've done it with other manufacturers, but I would say it's definitely worth putting one of these on. This is again from Guns Modify, so the company that make this. It's called their Guns Modify Eotech 551, 552, 553 lens protector, and this is $14. So if you've got a $650 optic, spending an extra $14 just to stick this bit of plastic in it, 100% worth it. I really like these lens protectors. I think you can get a lot of different variations that I've had, and some of them I absolutely hate. Too clunky, block the vision, break easily when you're trying to like fit them. Guns Modify ones I do like. Got that from JK Army. That was $14. Next thing you're probably wondering about is this, which is it's a very obvious part of the build. This is actually a SomoGear, which is a great company. If you're looking for a replica PEC-15 unit, then SomoGear are great. They're still expensive, but I would say looking at reviews and even people that have used them on real steel, this actually performance-wise is very close to an original. It's potted, which means inside it's kind of got the plastic that's formed around all the parts, so it should hold very steadily and it shouldn't lose zero. But this is actually not a PEC-15. It looks similar, but it actually kind of has a fatter front end here. This is a cheaper version, which actually for airsoft, I think works a lot better. I've got the more expensive one on my other Mark 18. Again, go and watch that video. I'll try and link it up here somewhere in the next 5-10 minutes, so go click on that. That is, as I said, the SomoGear. It's called their PEC-16B Airsoft Aiming Laser, IR Laser, and Flashlight. So this actually has, instead of your IR illuminator, which is basically a flashlight when you've got your night vision on in infrared light spectrum, this has a normal flashlight. So that's really the only difference. You've got the IR laser, you can get a red or a green. I got the green. So you've got that laser. I'll show you that. I'll take these covers off here. So you can see there I've got, that's probably the best place to show it. I've got a flashlight and the laser. You can switch the functionality just to laser, just to flashlight, or to IR laser. I don't think you'd ever use the IR laser and a visible flashlight at the same time. I can't think why you would do that. And I think it does not give the option. No, it might give you the option, which is quite strange. Yeah, I need to check at that. But it's something where I normally, if I've got a PEC-15, it means I've got the ability to do IR, laser, and flashlight on this thing. And I'll always mount a separate flashlight, a Surefire, something like that, which means I have to have 2 buttons, really. And I can sync the buttons with the lead so they both go on at the same time. But I like with this that I can make it lightweight. I can have one of these things. I'm rarely going to use the IR illuminator in airsoft. I just don't need it. but it does mean I've got the IR laser, I've got the visible laser, and I have a regular flashlight. Cost of that is $97. So I think you're spending about $200, $250 for the other one. This doesn't look the same. It is a bit more bulky, but very similar looking. So I think that's a really good buy for $97. This is what is mounted, both of these, is the GBRS Hydra mount. It basically elevates, and you've got like a little rail here just to mount your PEC unit on. That's instead of putting the PEC unit on the front here, which you can do. It makes the laser probably more accurate. But I like how the center of mass is in the middle. Makes it more wieldy for me, and actually gives me more rail space on the front. I like it. I know a lot of people hate it. A lot of people like it. For me, that's worthwhile. On my other one, I've actually got a real steel one, which is expensive. This actually is a Repro one. So this one's about $100. Just for that mount. Allows me, I always like a riser on my Eotech or my red dot, just because with Face Pro on, having it at that height for me is a lot better. Never used to do that, but really that's something I've discovered that I like a lot more. So I like the riser. It's about 1 inch here. And then that allows me to mount this, and that's kind of together, so I can sight it and see where that is. So that one's about $100. I think the real one's a couple of hundred at least. Another thing that I've done is a Magpul QD mount. So that is on the Picatinny rail. These are $30. It means that with a QD mount on my Sling, I can just pop that in there. I like having my Sling mounted very close to the body. I like it either side of the body here. Some people really like it up front just for some more stability. For me, that's just my preference. So I've put that mount there. There is no mount that comes on this HOW rail. I've just said that, and then I've just seen the mount in the camera. So there is a mount right there, which kind of actually makes where I've put that pointless, because you can see there's about an inch worth of distance. But I have to say, actually, I like the angle that is on these. So I like the Magpul design. I haven't actually tried out the rail one. It's not a real steel rail, so I think it's built well, but obviously you may want to just do that just because you want, you know, more customization. I think this is also a locking mount. Yeah, so you lock it into position. This one is going to swivel anywhere. So that one is about $30 for that. It's real steel Magpul. Other things I've got is the bad lever. I put this pretty much on all of my AR style replica builds. That is basically an attachment onto your bolt release catch. It has a lever arm that goes under here. And so that means that when I have got that in bolt lock position, instead of having to put my thumb here, which I would normally have to do to release the bolt, I can actually turn around and not have to take my hand off the actual replica, and I can just, with this finger, as I said that, I can basically release the bolt right there. So I like those a lot. Obviously, if you've got fat fingers, that may get in the way. But for me, bad lever, I think that's $30 BAD. You can look that up. Another thing that I do, which, because again, I like having my Sling mount around the body. I know some people like it on the back of their stock. You've got a QD mount there if you want to put that on your stock. But I like having it on my end plate right here, just by the base of the buffer tube. This does not come with that. It's a stock standard, you know, just flat plate on the back. This one's a Haley Strategic, so a really good real steel company. Real steel, as I said, the actual end plate. And this one's only $17. So it allows me, when I've got the actual replica here, to have that shorter here, the shorter version there. I can release my Sling, and then I've kind of got that movement, which is pretty easy. Switching shoulders I find easier with that situation. I think it's a lot harder if you have a Sling mount wrapped around here or in that QD location. Again, that's personal preference, but I've got that on, and that is $17, which I didn't realize until I just looked it up. But I don't think that's a sale price. I think that's what it normally is actually going for. Next thing I've done is this Unity tactical switch. Now you can get repros of these. I think the repros are pretty good. This is a real steel one. It basically allows me with this just to put some, now I've got the covers back on. I'll take that off there. It allows me to just kind of put some pressure on. So I can kind of like gently put that pressure on and I release it and it's gone back. If I click it in or if I just hit it once like that or double click it, it's going to basically just give me that ability to use my laser and my flashlight as I want. I've got actually a different version of this with another button on my other Mark 18, but that's because I have a flashlight and I have a PEC 15 separately. With this PEC 16B, I really only need one, and again that makes it more lightweight. So that is, as I said, the Unity tactical Axon switch. I think the ones you can get are probably $20-30, the repros. This one is $115. Again, you can use it on anything. This SomoGear takes a crane switch, so it's going to take your real inserts. So that's a mount there. I've actually got like a little textured cable control piece there, which I think that's probably about $3-4 just to get it. I quite like it because it gives me kind of like a thumb rest. Whenever I kind of position and hold this, I never really hold it with the foregrip that you kind of imagine. This is almost just a hook for me, and I like having it larger rather than your kind of small stop levers that you can get. I just love the feel of this. Really, that was found from my other Mark 18. I know that it probably makes it look not as cool, but actually just function wise for me, that's how I like to hold it. So as I said, that one is that's expensive and you don't need to do the real one, but the quality will show. It's Airsoft, you really don't need it, but the actual pushing of the button and how that is done, it's built for real steel. So I think that's a definite. It's kind of like the red dots, you know, compared to a repro, it's going to be a lot better. Same thing. Next thing I've done, which I think is the final external, is one of these. I really like these. These are the Acetech Predators. This is the 3. I actually think I like the 2 more, which is cheaper and older. But this is kind of a larger one. It's got more functionality. They both fit on the same flash hiders though. So this really is a Mark 18 style flash hider, which I think is great. It has these little indent dots around it. And what that does with this is I literally just slip it on, I rotate and it clicks in place. It means that I can put these flash hiders on any of my replicas, which I've done to quite a few, my AKX, my other Mark 18, and I have a Mark 2 and a Mark 3 of this. So anytime I want to use a tracer unit or make it look like it's got a suppressor on it, I can just do that. This will put the flash situation out. I don't think it's kind of as real steel as like a Sandman or something along those lines, but it is still, it's functionality wise, I really like it. I think it looks very cool. I don't know what you guys think, but let me know. That one is $135. So again, it's expensive, but it does give you the option if you're running green tracer BBs to have a tracer, to have a muzzle flash, and you can use it on multiple. I think that these flash hiders, you can get them for about $30. So you could buy 3 or 4 of these, put it on all of your replicas, and then you have that ability just to run the tracer on all of them, which I think is great. Okay, moving on to the internals. So now the most expensive internal upgrade that I have done is the trigger box. And as you can see, the trigger on this is pretty cool. Flat trigger. It's got like a little lip on the bottom. And this is made by a company called Toxicant. Now, this is a fairly recent upgrade that I've done to this one. And I've actually ordered another replica from Toxicant. So if you're following onto the channel, hit subscribe because that's going to be an exciting one. I think it's going to ship to me in about a week to 2 weeks. And I'll be able to kind of talk you through that. It's very different to anything else I have. That's just a little hint, little trailer there for you. But Toxicant, I'm not going to be able to show you it because I can't open it up under YouTube guidelines. But what it is a purple color, this one. It's a trigger box, so it's the trigger inside, the trigger box inside with this trigger attached to it. And this is a version that they build which is fully adjusted by their technicians. Now you can get a black version and a purple version. Black version's about $70 cheaper and you can adjust both of them, but that one has not been adjusted by them to kind of maximize, you know, what the performance is or how good that trigger pull can really get. This one has that. And they make one which is an MWS version. They actually make, as I said, which I've ordered, a lot of MWS clone kits. Use the MWS system basically, but they build Spear LTs, a lot of MCX style replicas. Go and check them out. They're impossible to ship to the US directly from them. So you have to be very clever how you actually get one. But this is very expensive and it's probably the best trigger that I've got on any of my replicas, but it does cost $255. So it is half the price, if not very close to the price of the actual replica, but I will show you how good this trigger is. So as you can see there, that is the trigger. This is, let me get that there. This is the pull on it. So that is literally as far as it goes. I'll show you the reset. And that is it, literally. I'll show you on this side. As I release it, click, that's right there. So it is literally a hair trigger. I'll show you it as well when I'm firing it, but that is all the movement you have. It's a very fine wall and it's a very light trigger. So unlike my VFC or APFG Spear LT and my MPX, which have heavy triggers, but they've got that definitive wall, I actually quite like that. This is the snappiest kind of like reaction trigger that I have, but it's $255. So if you want to spend that, you want to put it in, it drops straight in, you just put the Z plate in on it as well. $255 is a lot of money, but it is the best that I've ever tested. So, you know, you can get other videos, reviews of that if you guys want to look at it. I think Jaeger Precision does one where he installs it, but unfortunately I can't open this up to show you that. So that's the most expensive. I've done my standard, which is the Prometheus or Promi 6.03 millimeter inner barrel. I think that's about 285 millimeter that I've put in there. Those are about $40, not exact, depending on the length it can vary, but that's about a $40 increase. It's basically a barrel with a tighter bore in it. I actually think that the standard ones from Guns Modify, they have their kind of upgraded trigger. They have a lot of the extra parts that you can buy to put in your TM. So that is the advantage maybe of buying this, is a lot of the parts, the trigger's going to be better. The inner barrel is going to be a bit better. The bolt, again, Tokyo Marui make these incredible things that they just work perfectly. But if you are thinking about doing all the Guns Modify upgrades, you do get a lot of them in here. So, you know, that might be something to think about. So I've done that in a barrel. I've done my Flamingo hop-up rubber. It's probably my favorite hop-up rubber. I put that in everything. It's like a flamingo colored pink. I think it's from Sniper Mechanics. Again, can be hard to get hold of. They sell out everywhere, but that's the hop-up rubber that I put in there. This is probably the most obvious thing, now I've got it covered, that you will see when you see it, is the bolt. Now that bolt is a Taran Tactical knockoff. It's not real because it's obviously an airsoft gun or an airsoft replica. But that is a Taran Tactical, whatever they called it. It is the EMG TTI license, so it is licensed technically, steel bolt carrier, and it's for the TM Tokyo Marui MWS, and it's made by Daitac. I think the color of it's fantastic. It doesn't necessarily match everything, and you've got the Taran Tactical logo there. It's the kind of company that do all the John Wick stuff. I like how it looks. You can get, I think, in this color or in black, and it's steel, so it's going to be a heavier recoil. You know, it's going to slow down the rate of fire, and that is one thing with this, is it has got a slower rate of fire than my other Mark 18. As it's more of that Mark 16 style, you would expect it to have a higher rate of fire. But again, the great thing is I can take that bolt, I can switch it out. I've got about 3 or 4 bolts that I can just change whenever I want to. Same thing with the spring, the buffer weight. You know, it's completely customizable if you have multiple MWSs, and it is all compatible. So I've got that in there, and I'll show you the rate of fire is slower, but I really like that. Cost of that is $157. So just with the trigger box and this bolt that I've got in there, we're looking at like $400 basically, just over $400. So pretty insane. Next thing I've done is the Bavtac Z plate. So that is the little plate that is in MWS systems. It basically, when this bolt comes back, it catches it in that position. So sometimes when you're running low on gas, it won't lock back fully because the bolt's not coming back far enough. This Bavtac Z plate is actually got a hook which is further in. So if you imagine a normal bolt maybe caught there, this allows that to be caught right there, which just allows the bolt to get more consistent in the bolt catch. I think that's really important because these things have 30 round magazines. So if you want the bolt lock, you want to be able to change, actually change the magazine, know when you're out of rounds. I think that's important. So they make a great product, Bavtac. I've put that again in all of my MWSs. That's $30. They're in the UK. I think you can get them at some US retailers, but they can be quite hard to get hold of as well. So that's what I've done there. I've also done the Toxicant, again, same company that make the trigger box. I've done the Toxicant MX adjustable nozzle set for the Marui TM MWS. So that's the nozzle that goes inside this bolt. I'll try and show you that. It's the black bit here, which is the nozzle. It's basically where the gas is going to push through and push the BB on. That one is adjustable, so it's got a little grub screw in there, so you can increase or decrease the FPS. Something that I really liked because this is lightweight. I've got this as more, if I wasn't using this or if I was in a night game, this is kind of like a more maneuverable thing. So I would probably use this in a CQB environment, which means I can reduce that FPS if I want to. And that nozzle allows me to do that. And that's $52. Not necessary again. And it is playing with everything. Another thing to go wrong. But it does allow that kind of customization of the FPS, which I liked. So that costs $52. And the last thing that I've done is an SP Systems T8 MWX mix and match counterweight buffer set V2. And so what that is, it's the weight inside, which is pushing that bolt back and forward inside this buffer tube here. And it's the spring, and it also has some little rubber shims. So that allows me to have more recoil because it's a heavier buffer than the stock one that is in there, buffer weight. It's a more powerful spring, so it is kind of keeping up with that extra weight and kind of not slowing the rate of fire down too much. And then you have the option to put shims in there, little rubber discs, so it shortens the travel that buffer weight is going back. I don't think I'm in love with this. I might change it out for something else, but that is $37, and it's going to allow you to have more recoil or a faster rate of fire if you want, and you're getting kind of all three different all three different functions, shims, spring, weight for $37. So that's, that's not bad, to be honest, if you're wanting just to test that out. Easily pop them in, pop them out. You don't need to be a tech. You don't need to be taking screws out to do it. Very, very easy. So that's all of the upgrades that I've done. The other thing is I run all of mine on these, which is the Guns Modify, same company that make the actual replica, PMags Gen 3. You can get these in black and in tan. I've got a black one here. I quite like using the tan just because it matches the actual colouring on some of the replica there. I use these over the actual Tokyo Marui standard mags. Very little play in them. The gas efficiency is very good. I have not used a TM or one of my MWSs for a couple of months now, and if you leave them without gas in them, the O-rings will go. So you need to make sure that you're keeping a bit of gas in there, you're keeping the O-rings lubricated. But generally, I think they're probably, in my opinion, the best mags that you can get for an MWS, and these are about $55–60 each. So if you're buying an MWS and you're not doing a HPA adapter like I talk about in my last video, then you are going to have to buy at least 6 of these, probably more. So that's upping the cost. That's not included in my $2,600 cost of this replica. That's going to add on an extra, $300–400. So just bear that in mind before you're purchasing a gas blowback, because they are very, very expensive, not only to build and to have the parts, but also you're running through gas and BBs, which you're going to have on any airsoft gun. But you're using a lot of gas, which costs money. So that is it, guys. That is this build that I've done, this $2,600 MWS build. I'd love to know your thoughts on it. I'll show you quickly just what the action is like on this. It is something that I've actually not played around with, and I'm not sure I love this bolt. So I'll show you quickly what the action is, if I can actually get this to work. Get that released, and I have not got the mag in there properly. Oh, and now I can't make it work, which is fantastic. So that bolt is cycling, the trigger box is working, and it's actually not firing on the, try it with the other mag. This is great. Great part of the video here, guys. I've spent all this money. There we go. Okay, so it might just be the mag on that, but that is the firing action on there. So you can see it makes kind of like a more hollow, silenced sound, I think, than my other one. The rate of fire I've got on this one right now is, it's a low gas mag. Sorry, I think I've just paused that for you. So that just dropped out, which is great. The end of this video is filled with just issues in terms of the actual replica and also my filming of it. So I apologize for that. And thank you if you stayed this long to actually watch it. Just try with this mag so that we can get you guys a... So that is what the rate of fire is. But I'm going to play around with this because that is pretty bad that that just failed. So I'll have a play around. I'll see if that's the bolt, or maybe actually it's just where I haven't fully lined up the trigger box. But bear in mind, guys, these things can go wrong. Even if you spend a huge amount of money on them, they definitely can go wrong. And it's always worth, if you're going to go and play, taking multiple replicas with you, whether that's a backup AEG or just another gas blowback. If it uses the same mag, great, which is why having two Mark 18s is pretty awesome. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching. Hopefully that wasn't too long and didn't bore you too much. I'd love to know your thoughts, and if you'd like to see more of these build videos. I don't think I've got many that are more expensive than this, but I don't know. I'll look in the cupboard and see if I can find another one. Thank you, guys. Have a great day, and I will see you very soon. Goodbye.